Welcome back, tribe. We have one here from Every Man Has a Story. Why older men are staying single. This guy's viewers respond. So this will be interesting, piggybacking on that divorce one.
Hello, guys. Welcome back. A couple of weeks ago, I did a video on why older men are deciding to stay single. Had a huge response, over 250,000 views as of today, thousands of comments. So I wanted to respond to some of these comments because it's just too many to type it all out. So I thought I'd respond to them. And then, of course, you guys can respond to this video. We can have a discussion about things that maybe I didn't touch on that you guys feel strongly about. Here's one. Being alone is not scary for people that are alone but aren't lonely. I think that's a good point. A lot of guys, that I've talked to, and a lot of guys that responded to this video, has said, I'm alone, been alone for many years, and I'm not lonely. A lot of them have pets, dogs especially, and they said that's all the company they need, and they've got friends. So, you don't necessarily have to be in a relationship if you're content being by yourself and doing your own thing. Single men have peace. Nothing is better. Here's one. After a lifetime of being with people, parents, university roomies, girlfriends, wife, 34 years, after my divorce 8 years ago, I discovered the absolute contentment of living alone. I date, but I will never cohabitate again. I love having my own drama-free space, making all my own decisions. Life is good. And I can see that. So he's not totally alone. He's not going to get married again, but at least he does, occasionally go out on a date. Nothing wrong.
Yeah, but you heard the making my own decisions. So that already tells you what kind of relationship you're in, what position he's in that relationship. He's the one supplicating. He's like the beta Bob, the bug sandwich. If you can't make your own decisions in a relationship, you're not the one leading. You don't wear the pants. Like, imagine that shit. Guys, this stuff you see way before marriage. Like in the normal relationship itself, if you feel like you can't make the decisions, if she's interjecting or if she's got different ideas of the future or your plans don't align, your goals for the future, if you have a tippy toe or walk on eggshells around her for any reason whatsoever when it comes to planning, that's not the woman for you. That happens way before you get down on one knee. But the consistent sex fucks a guy's ability up to use his brain. It's nuts what guys will go through just for some poon, dude.
With that, in the old days, like in the 60s and 70s, they would call, he's a confirmed bachelor. So he dates, he has women in his life from time to time, but he has no intention of ever getting married or moving in with somebody. Because moving in with somebody is basically the same as being married. You just don't have the legal document to back it up. 62, been married 24 years, been divorced 13. My dogs are all I need, unconditional love. Another one. I divorced my wife at 59, a 40-year relationship.
Golly.
It's a long time. I lost half of everything, but didn't even try for more. So I hear this a lot. Guys that did get divorced, they lost everything. And a lot of times, like their wife didn't work. She was a stay-at-home mother, stay-at-home wife. Sometimes they didn't even have children. But still, when they had the divorce, she walked away with half of everything that he had worked his whole life for. The house, the money, the savings, the 401k, the pension, everything.
Bro, with how horrific these are, and the statistics on divorce and the rotten culture that we have and the moral decay, is it really like the only option for a man once you become successful? Like, truly, what do you think of just being that confirmed bachelor, multiple chicks, kids with multiple chicks, never really cohabitating? I don't know. I've been thinking some similar shit lately. Like, bro, if you're really making a ton of money, what is the incentive? Where do you win here? I went out with my girl like not too long ago into a fucking restaurant, and there was a dude, older guy. He looked like a sugar dad or something. He had two smoking like 25-year-olds on his arm. The guy was laughing, smiling, having a great time. He's about to plow 2 holes that night. This is a real nice restaurant too. And the guy, like during the day, we just stopped there because it's close by the apartment. But I'm looking over at the guy. I'm like, is this what the future looks like? This guy's winning. Look at him. He's happy. He's smiling. He's got 2 chicks. They're not headache. They don't live with him. He gets what he wants. They probably are getting what they want. Money, whatever the fuck else he's providing. Stupid trinkets like a purse. Honest, even exchange. No arguments. No fighting over dumb shit. No, left the toilet seat up. No, you're not doing the dishwasher correctly like that one guy was saying in the woods. Nothing, bro. Where's the downsides? Where's the downsides? Apart from like the moral argument for society, and that falls apart if you're not religious anyways. Why not just spread your seed out around to, your roster of chicks and then just keep on banging out and keep on building money and keep on doing shit if you could, quote, afford those kids. You know what I mean? Again, we're talking about a wealthy man, not some dusty, not some broke dude that's got nothing to offer society. But what's the point? I don't know. Somebody Besides the religious angle, sell me on that shit. I'm just curious what the comments are. I'd like to read that.
He says, I was just glad to get rid of her, but I look around and I don't find many women within my age range to be attractive physically. And to that, many women are either unpleasant or dangerous in terms of mental health, finances, kids, ex-partners. They all have issues. Here's another one. When you're single and someone gets on your nerves, you can just smile and walk away. Nobody owns you. That's a good point, especially if you're a gentleman. You're out dating someone, spend some time with you, realize that they're not for you, and they start saying things that, rub you the wrong way. You can just smile and just walk away and not call her back and let the relationship end, instead of having to go through a divorce or her move out and all the drama that goes with that. I'm 61 now. I've been divorced since 2017 after a 29-year marriage. I knew her for 31 years, had 2 kids, and that she poisoned the kids against me. I asked myself, what was it all for? Women do not love. They look at men as walking ATMs, period. I do not believe that true love exists. I gave my whole heart to her, and she basically threw it out like a piece of trash. I will never, ever trust another woman as long as I live. See, it goes on. I've gone through a lot of therapy and figured out how to forgive my ex-wife, my children, and most importantly, I forgave myself. And all that I found out, true happiness exists because I recognized my accountability and found my way to forgive. I will never give my heart to anyone again, and I'm okay with that. True happiness is real. No one has the power to give you that. You put that on yourself.
Yep.
Yeah, unfortunately, a lot of the men who commented are very bitter about their relationships. And some were married for a long time. And when it finally broke up, they had a bitter divorce, and it really left a bad taste in their mouth, and just don't ever want to get involved with a woman again. They're just gun shy. They just had enough. Let's see, as a married man of over...
Yeah, and that's the thing, tunnel vision, don't get caught in an echo chamber. There are going to be a lot of bitter responses, even in this video, men saying the same shit. But we know there's another side that's obviously not posting online, not watching these videos, not emotionally invested in any of this shit because their lives are going just fine. Statistically, they're in that 20% of successful marriages. But even that number suck. If we take the Pareto principle as something occurring naturally in nature, that means 80% of the divorces are actually shit and 20% of those men are actually happy. Well, that probably means 20% are the actual alpha dudes that don't have to negotiate attraction. Their women look up to them. Sex is great. They have raw, pure attraction from those women. They lead. They're a man's man. They're competent, financially matured. Everything is perfect. Life's going great for them. They have the perfect marriage, essentially. But for the most guys that are in average positions, average looks, average jobs, earnings, all that stuff, you're more likely than not to have a shitty marriage, a stressful marriage, a marriage that may not seem worth it. But that guy can't even play the field in the world today because, again, imagine being an average dude getting on dating apps and trying to date. You get straight fucking cave trolls, dude, slugs. Either overweight or single mothers or psychologically damaged or ran through hard as fuck. There's no decent options for you anyways left in the modern world today. So where do you go? Overseas is the answer. And even that is changing rapidly. I mean, it's already corrupted in the big cities. Guys are getting plane tickets to go to Thailand and they're going to all the bar girls, are getting their fucking pockets absolutely fleeced. I mean, you got morons on YouTube. We saw the videos, dude lands in Thailand for 1 week and he picks up a bar girl and she's in his apartment, won't leave, and draining him of all his money. He's she fell in love with me. She loves me for me. Wow, she's so attached. And this chick's just running straight game on him, but he's such a moron. He doesn't even understand. He thinks it's love, or he's just too stupid, or just ignoring the flags anyways because, well, at least I'm getting laid, and he's a fool soon parted with his money. So it's you got to go long term. You can't just pass by in these places and snag a good one. You got to long term, find a good woman out in the province somewhere, something of that nature, man, to build out a normal life. And it's becoming increasingly more rare. And, here's a uncomfortable truth nobody wants to say out loud. The chicks some of these guys are settling down for are just fucking average at best, bro. I'm sorry, but I can't, it's not that I'm trying to be vain, but negotiating attraction goes on a man's side as well. I don't want to have to look at my woman and go, well, at least she treats me nice. She's not the best looking girl or not the most attractive, but she cooks for me. Like I can't do that negotiation in my head. I'm sorry. If my woman's not walking around, I go, Jesus fucking Christ, I want to jump her bones. Like, God, she looks hot as fuck to me. I can't. I'm not negotiating with myself like that anyways. I'd rather just have a roster of hot chicks and just look around and pick one for the night that satisfies whatever need. This one cooks. This one has a great personality. This one's super hot, blah, 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 and on and on. Because the guys that are flying overseas, I see with some of the women that they're picking up. And again, for the average man, I guess that's fine. But some of them are getting with subpar, below average women. I don't know, dude. It's an uncomfortable conversation that a lot of people don't want to have. But I'm curious on that one as well.
40 years to the same wife. I'm happy. If something happened to my wife, I would definitely stay single. This is the other side of the same coin. You have a lot of men who've commented who said that they are currently married, very happy, love their wife, everything is great, and if something happened to her tomorrow, they would never ever date again because she's irreplaceable. They would just be single. Of course, they say that, but then other men I've talked to whose wife did pass away, and it's been 4, 5, 10 years, whatever, they do start to get lonely. And since they had a good relationship, they think that, why can't I recreate that? Maybe I can find somebody else. And they do. Often they find someone who also a woman who lost her husband, who had a good relationship, and the two of them can get together because they both had good marriages and they think they can have that again, even though they're starting much later in life. Women are expensive, but American women are unaffordable. Unless you're ready to go to court for sexual harassment, just stay single. Yeah, that's another thing, the sexual harassment thing. Ever since the Me Too movement, guys are afraid to approach women, especially at work. We talked about this before in another video where, like when I was, single, I was in theater and I was on cruise ships, and you met women at work. That's just what everybody did, especially living on a ship, working on a cruise ship. And a lot of the women that I dated were Eastern European, and they liked to be chased. They really made it hard for you. You had to win them. You had to fight for them. So you'd flirt with them and they would totally ignore you. They might even be rude to you. And you keep trying. You ask them out, they say no, forget about it. And you keep trying. And then finally, after a couple of weeks, they go, okay, I'll go out with you. Next thing you know, you've got yourself a girlfriend, a great relationship. But that's the way it is. They want to be chased. If you did that today, that same woman, could go to HR and say, well, I told him I didn't want to go out with him, but he keeps asking me out. They call you in the office. Next thing you know, you're fired. And so men, they're timid. They might say, and their confidence is low. And so they might say, well, would you like to go out, have dinner sometime? She said, I don't think so. And she really wants him to pursue her, but she says that to get him to, try harder. But then he doesn't try harder. He just gives up. And so there is no relationship. And then someone else says, intimidated is not the word I use. It's repulsed is more like it. So they're repulsed from the women today. So that's just his view of it. Here's one. Great video. You make a lot of sense. I'm 63, disabled, married, and she picks up a lot of the slack. I'm not as sexually driven as I once was, although I still have that drive. Fortunately, she appreciates me for that. And if it weren't for my wonderful wife, I'd want to go it alone. The catch is it's not easy as it was prior to my disability. Having someone to watch TV with, play cards with, or just to talk to is very important. There's some very good women out there. I know. I've been married to one for 33 years. Lastly, we had our problems, sometimes pretty severe. We both had reasons to end our marriage, not infidelity. There's never been that kind of betrayal. We both believe that we were made to commit to each other in God's blessing. That's forever. We worked things out, plan to continue to do the same. Watching your video was a good reminder of how fortunate I truly am. It's nice to hear videos or hear comments like that about guys who are not single, who are married, and it's all worked out great for them, So that's doesn't always end in divorce. I think.
Yeah, that's the ideal, dude. We all want to be in that position where we have a successful marriage, leading a family, the kids are happy, well-mannered, raised right, and you got a good woman by your side that doesn't make a joke out of you or your marriage, uplifts you, nurturing, trusts your judgment and leadership, and is your biggest supporter. Dude, that's the dream. It's just becoming increasingly impossible in the modern world today. That's why so many men are turning to the passport bro thing, because it's men are looking for any option available. Period, because we are all holding on to that vision still. But when you look at the other side of the aisle and they're like blue hair, bull ring, fucking tats everywhere, emotional irregulation, like screaming their heads off, like basically children in adult bodies. And these are the prospective partners that men in the West are looking at for like long-term relationships or raising children, no less. It's like, dude, you're too much like emotionally unstable for such a relationship. Like you don't make a good wife. And less people today, both on both ends, of course, because we do have more and more man-childs as well, men refusing to grow up. But we do have more and more people that would or should not deserve to be wives or husbands. It's true. It's just the culture is infantilizing both men and women more and more. It's something you notice when you go overseas and just see how much more educated and well-mannered comparatively adults are versus their U.S. counterparts.
In America, first marriages, that's like 40% end up in divorce. But it all comes down, you really got to be careful who it is that you marry. You know, some guys, especially guys with low self-confidence, the first woman that they go out with who is attractive or above what they normally get as far as like, you know, she's a 6 and he's used to going out with 3 or 4s. They want to marry him. It doesn't matter if she's a Karen, doesn't matter if she's a terrible person, you know, that she's the best looking girl that he's ever had his hands on. And so he's got to marry her because he thinks he'll never get a chance at someone like that again. They marry someone basically based on their looks only. And they put the negative personality traits aside. And that's a recipe for disaster every single time. See another one here. Most older men have been taken to the cleaners by their ex-wives. In some multiple cases, they are sick and tired of dealing with the drama, pain, worn out, and discovering peace and tranquility for the first time in their lives being single. Okay, here's one. It's not just the women, it's their kids. Messed up family, their debt, mega drama, stay single and date. Yeah, that's another one I hear a lot because if you're dating someone, let's say she's in her 40s or 50s or 60s, whatever, she could easily have adult children or teenage children, and they may resent you totally. It doesn't matter if their father divorced their mother or if their father passed away, whatever the reason was. You know, you come into the picture, and first of all, they're not going to be able to tell them anything at all. They'll probably ask you for money when they need it or to co-sign for their car, but they're not going to let you lay down any kind of discipline at all as far as things they should or shouldn't do, like going out, coming home late, whatever it is. And that can cause a lot of drama, especially if you're all living in the same house. In my 50s, my divorce recently wiped me out. Lost my house, car, and savings. This is the most common reason that guys are giving me in all these thousands of comments. It's that, you know, they were married. They thought they married the love of their life. It didn't work out.
Guys should be putting money away in Bitcoin. I don't understand. Like that's just like in a wallet, untraceable. This is not financial advice. Theoretically, in a world, Ethereum, Bitcoin, in a wallet, nobody knows. Let it sit, let it grow. Rainy day fund, if anything were to happen. You know what I mean? Good luck finding that shit. Yeah, good luck finding that shit. Honest, I don't know. Thought.
But then they got divorced and they were just taken to the cleaners. They lost everything. You know, the house, the wife got the house, you know, she got the car, she got half of their savings and half of his pension and his retirement. And I wonder, you know, tell me what you guys think, but is it because the laws in America are so,
shit.
What's the word I'm looking for?
Shit.
So biased for women, against men. It's like, it seems like you go to court and every time, you know, from what I hear over and over again, the guys get screwed. It's never like a fair dissolution. Sometimes I've talked to guys who told me their wives made more money than they did. Like say she was a doctor, a lawyer, or had her own business. And when they got divorced, he still ended up paying alimony and she still got the majority of the savings and got the house. So, it sounds to me like it's really not, you know, fair to the men in many cases. Can't imagine dating, let alone marrying again. The financial aspect gives me no choice but to remain on my own. So smart guys that just don't want to risk losing everything. Because, you know, if you're a senior citizen and you've lost your house, you lost half your pension, and all of a sudden, you know, you're living, you know, Social Security check to Social Security check, and something bad happens like, you know, a medical emergency, and you may have insurance, but it only covers 80%. Next thing you know, you're in debt and things get really, really bad. It can spiral out of control, all because you went through a divorce. If you hadn't gotten divorced, you hadn't gotten married, you'd be fine. No friends and all my family are dead. Didn't think I would be struggling like this. Wish I never invested in my dead marriage. Women will try to take your last penny while swearing they love you. Yeah, unfortunately, you can't put everybody in the same bucket though. There's lots of good women out there in America and all these different countries. It's just you have to find the right one. And granted, it can be harder to find, the right person for you, whether you're looking for a husband or a wife. And so sometimes you just have to keep looking. And maybe, like me, I had no intention of ever getting married again, even dating again. I came to the Philippines and slowly I changed my views on dating and slowly changed my views on marriage and changed my views on having a child. So you have to be flexible. Sometimes, the way you feel a certain time in a certain place where you are fits
Hmm.
that particular situation in your life. But if your life changes, you move someplace else, maybe you readjust your views. You be more flexible.
Hmm.
Here's one. If a man speaks in the forest and there's no woman there to hear him, is he still wrong? That's funny. Why would a mature man want to play a traditional role in a relationship when it took him a lifetime to gather what they had? To have half of it ripped away by a woman who spent her life with other men. So I guess he's talking about a second marriage there where, you get married for a second time and she was with somebody else and then the second marriage doesn't work out and she ends up taking half of what you got. So I see your point of view there. And it again comes down to just being, careful who you marry. And I've always thought that it's best to live with somebody before you decide to move in with them. It's better to get to know somebody, then you live with them, then you get married, and take it step by step. Because living with
Oops.
someone will give you a pretty good idea what they're really like.
Yeah.
Let's see. Here we go. Another one. Preach it, brother. It was nice to hear a man around my age, 55, say all the truthful things that most people don't say because it's taboo to talk about. I've been a widower for 5 years after 19 years of marriage. Even though I was madly in love with my wife, best friend, it has gotten easier and easier to accept and enjoy my current life as a single man. Thanks for being so honest and speaking the truth about what older men are dealing with and why it makes sense for us to remain single. That's a nice comment. Let's see. When I was married, I lived paycheck to paycheck and sometimes had to get payday loans. 17 years after my divorce, I'm a millionaire. Marriage is not my future without a prenup. Yeah, that's something that didn't come up very often. I'm surprised about that. The guys that said they were concerned about losing their pension, losing their house, losing their savings, why not do a prenup? But I think a lot of women, when you say, okay, yes, I want to get married, but I want a prenup, she might say, well, that's it. I'm not going to marry you. So then maybe that's a reason not to marry her. But, a lot of wealthy people, especially like celebrities and people like that, they all have a prenup. And women that are wealthy have a prenup too. Let's see. Here we go. Another one here. So my response to women. So you're saying the benefit for me to be in a relationship with you is that I can slice out a large part of my day doing crap I don't want to do, pay for stuff I have no interest in having, and hanging with your family and friends who don't interest me. I think I'll pass. Yeah, that's another thing. It's like here in the Philippines, it's really true that when you marry somebody, you marry the family. It's not necessarily that you have to support them or anything like that, but it's just that usually, especially if you're in the same city, you're going to see a lot of them. They're going to be involved. Your wife's going to want to be going over there. We have that here all the time. My wife is very close to her family too, and they come over and we go visit them and stuff. And that's just the way it is. And fortunately for us, it all works out fine. But I know other guys who it's a real problem for them. Let's see. There's a limited number of times you can stick your hand in a bear trap before losing your enthusiasm for it. Okay. Most older men have already been through the completely unbalanced hell called marriage and the most meat grinder of divorce. Now a good beer, a good dog, and a small, easily handled fishing boat is all I need. I can see that. I can see that. Yeah, if you've got a good life and you got friends and, your house is paid for and you got money and you're content being alone, there's no reason you shouldn't even have to feel guilty or even explain yourself. You're like, been there, done that, been married, been in a relationship. It's not for me. I prefer to be single and especially at my age, and that's fine. Life is too short to spend it doing what somebody else wants you to do. Yeah, that's true. Especially if you're married to someone whose friends you have nothing in common with, and especially it's different social strata. Let's say she's like
I mean, this one's getting long. If you want to hear the rest of those, go to his channel. I'll link it in the description below for this exact video. Let me see what somebody says. 58, married 15 years to a woman who never worked, and I made her dream of becoming an RN come true by putting her through nursing school. She met a doctor. Fuck, here we go. left me 3 days after she got her RN degree and took me to the cleaners in divorce courts. That was 14 years ago. I'm now financially comfortable after a lot of hard work, and I will never, 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 never get married again. I date, but I'm honest that marriage is off the table, as well as cohabitation. Life is good. Married folks often ask me why I am not married. I say to them, you're married, right? Then you should understand why I'm not. Dude, you're from personal experience. If your wife starts hanging around with her single friends, your marriage is already over. Sheesh. As a lifelong bachelor, I don't know how married men deal with all the nagging, emasculation, and emotion-based thinking. A friend once told me, why get married and ruin a good relationship? We have one of the good ones here. I'm 71. I've been married. See, look, 71. That's just, dude, that is a completely different generation of people and thinking. And I've been married 32 years. This guy's married almost longer than I've been alive, to a good woman who loves me and treats me well. We have 2 adult sons we're close to and proud of. We have our problems, but we work them out. Listening to this reminds me how lucky I am. Jeez, I'm curious what my viewers specifically have gone through. Because I do have statistically a lot older guys watching the channel. And I like to hear some of your stories. I might do a response video just like this. And we got some real interesting ones. I want to hear both balanced, some good, some bad. And thoughts on this episode. If you haven't subscribed to the second channel, interested in hearing your stories. See you guys on the next. Take care, everybody.